It's time for a championship showdown at the end of 2023. 5 furious rounds have all led us to Atlanta as RX2 signs off with a campaign that's proving to be intriguing. Welcome back along to RaceSpotTV for all of the action, where it's Arjuna Kankipati and Joe Peak ready to walk you through all of this. Joe, Rallycross is fast and furious action, and when a championship's on the line, it means drivers have got to stay vigilant and out of trouble.
Absolutely. That's honestly going to be the point that we're talking about a lot tonight, I'm pretty sure. But the thing about it is you've put yourself in the position over the course of the season. So whatever happens tonight, you can't just blame, oh, well, it was this one race that did me in. No, you've made your bed. Now you've got to lie in it.
And let's talk about the campaign that these drivers have been on, because we started in wine country on October the 15th, and it feels pretty crazy that that was 2 full months ago. Journeying across the globe as well in our venture over to Brands Hatch. That was a rather intriguing round with the high speeds into turn number 1. But Phoenix a couple of weeks ago has set us up towards this, and it's the long configuration of Atlanta if you're curious about what format that we are racing at. Let's take a look at the track itself as well, because we start just after turn 6 on the tarmac. Everyone gets equal ground there, and then you funnel through the double right-hander to launch yourself to the opening lap. The Joker, though, the major talking point, Joe, 8 to 8.5 seconds of a gain, and it's not one of those technical Jokers. It's pretty easy to nail out there on the race.
Yeah, as long as you get the entry right, then you should be good. But that's going to be the big thing, in making sure that you're lined up for it and you don't have somebody that's going to cover you from being able to slide into there. But yeah, this is definitely one of the more unique ones that we have here on the service, despite it being, I guess you could call it one of the Roval ones, we should say. But it puts on a good show. There's opportunities to overtake. It's got elevation change, which is interesting, and as well, banking. I love this version.
Yes, of course, that donk slide is so intriguing as to how you have to load the car up, and maybe one of the few corners on the calendar that you actually yoink the handbrake. Here's a look at the format, though, where points start in qualifying. Drivers have just headed out for 5 minutes, the track to themselves, and I believe it is just 3 flying attempts. 6 points to pole, 5 for second, and etc., down to 1 point for 6th. That all sets, though, the stage for the heat races. Today, we are expecting to see the 16 or so drivers divvied up in towards what I believe is going to be 2 different heats, from which 3 drivers advance, but then everyone still scores points behind them. Last chance qualifiers will set the rest of the drivers through to the feature, where the majority of the points are on the line. If you're in a championship hunt, Joe, it's pretty simple. You want to be at the top of this board, where a maximum of 23 points, if I've done my math correctly, are on the line.
Yeah, and I love that they put points in for qualifying as well as the heats. It forces you to try and perform each and every single round so that you get a good score by the end of the day. And of course, that is relevant to what we've been talking about, the championship, which I believe we've got those RX2 points up here. And Lindy, well, 10-point lead, like you said, 23 points total. He's not out of the woods.
It's 23 points in the race, I should say. It's 6 points starting in qualifying before that, yes. But
yeah, sorry.
It's my fault, not yours, Joe. You don't have to apologize. Tyler Schell, the one that would have been the one you'd expect to put the title challenge on. He's missing in action today. And so Tom Grady, the one that's going to take that title assault to Matthew Lindy, 2 extra points back. And therefore, it's a little bit more of a hard task. And after that, it's just not mathematically possible. So very much Matthew Lindy just has to watch out for Tom Grady. Plenty of other drivers, though, will be looking to close off 2023, Joe, with some championship fights.
Indeed, and I believe they are in the midst of that qualifying session right now. Even though, like I said, there are passing opportunities, you do want that track position. You want to stay ahead of the fray, because that will keep you a lot more out of trouble than usual. And also pay attention to how you execute on that on the Joker lap, because that could make such a big difference in either putting you into clear air or sticking you into traffic.
Let's take a look at the drivers around on qualifying, because we said 3 laps. The first of those laps beginning to come on in with just 2 minutes and about 30 seconds, 40 seconds left to go. The Joker entry, by the way, off to the right-hand side here, but the drivers will set up on the right to head into the regular lap. This is that donk slide on the handbrake, it seems, for a second there. Tom Grady rotates the rear end of the 535, and then this is a crucial corner. How close can you stay to the inside wall, get onto the power early, and slide your momentum on the run into the penultimate corner?
Yeah, that's a good point on trying to get it up against that wall, because the thing is, the more you flirt with it, and if you clip it, it'll send you off to the side. Now, that Armco area that you can see is Tom Grady flies through the air there and sees just nothing but sky, is that Armco is actually lower down than where the track is. There's a dip off there. So even if you get just a wheel off, that can either upset the car or it just sucks you out to that wall. So you really don't want to boink that inside wall if you can help it.
If you can help it, but I think as we watch Grady from up above, he might have boinked the wall there through the donk slide, and boinking the wall in qualifying does also invalidate your lap. That's an interesting camera angle, but I think that was partially just because Grady ran way too wide. Still second on the board, it's Matthew Lindy, who is done with his final lap in qualifying, does not improve. That has the 44.561 as the time that everyone is looking to beat. Here's Grady on his run towards the line. Final attempt, will it count? It doesn't matter, it's a little bit too slow.
Yeah, only Franklin Monak we're waiting on to set a time out there now in the 1:10. Everybody else looks like they have at least put a lap down at this stage. Dubois also coming around, sitting 8th quickest. This is his last flying lap here.
Last attempt for him, and Franklin Monak has just rolled out onto track, so I think he might get one more attempt. Vergaard Olsen Lee has just jumped into 4th, and again with 2 heats, Lindy and Grady are going to be split up to start at the front of their respective heats, and everyone else is going to filter into the lines behind them. Riding out of the final corner, here comes Dubois, hanging the rear end out, not necessarily always the fastest way around. He's also a little bit wide on the landing, and directly into the wall.
Yeah, that is honestly a surprisingly tricky jump because it is right after the corner and you are going relatively fast. So again, it's one of those things, it's especially in all rallycross racing, you're usually going on a trajectory and you have to be thinking way far ahead. But this so much more so because of the fact that the car is flying. So, well, you can't change direction from there. And then once you land, it takes a bit for the car to really grip up.
So I think that is Franklin Monak to the line and not actually seeing his lap count. So he might have boinked the wall at some point. It sets the grid for the first of 2 heats to get ready to descend to the starting formation. Let's run you down trackside then for the start of the championship showdown, where the points leader Matthew Lindy will line up alongside Kim-Andre Bjorklund, Rene Wegner, Rene Sotens, Anderson Room, and then Sim van Wereld through the rest of the top 6, with RaceSpot's own Paul Smith, Cole Fisher, and then Thomas Poulsen rounding out the 9 drivers that will do battle. The great thing about this series is some of these drivers are sending us a look at what is going on behind the scenes as well. So you see Thomas Poulsen in VR, Russell Peterson with the Santa hat, Tom Grady, Cole Fisher, and then Paul Smith with his flat cap ready to go. And they're already on that formation and nervously waiting in some cases, Joe, to get ready to rumble.
Absolutely, and with it starting on pavement, that means it might be just a little bit easier to get it going, but it'll swing right into dirt at the first corner after we get this first right-hander. And it's a double right-hander, so track position is going to be so important here.
And 3 drivers advance directly in towards the feature. Everyone else has to fight their way through an LCQ. Ready to go though as the drivers turn their attention towards the lights. It's a Rallycross symphony here in Atlanta to close out the year, and is it a good jump from pole position? Well, we're about to find out as they funnel their way 2 and 3 wide in the background, but tipping around into the opening corner. Lindy gets through safely. It's the 88 that gets the big moment of drama. It's the run now to the line to begin the opening official lap that sees Lindy clear, but with Bjorklund putting the pressure back on.
Sutens really got himself a good jump, but he was the one that got into the side of a few drivers down into that first corner. Glad to see everybody at least manages to make it through without anybody on their lid, but let's watch out and see what the donk slide holds for us.
Is anyone taking to the Joker? First time of asking, at least one. So that's Van Wereld, who slipped through in the Subaru, only one Fiesta, and that one is Paul Smith behind the wheel. Look how close to the wall they get. That looked like a mistake from Bjorklund, maybe going to run a little bit wide, and now an opportunity for Rene Sotens to look inside. Defensive line being taken, though. It's going to slow them down and allow Lindy to break away.
Yeah, this is working out really well for that number 3. Bjorklund has got to not mess around too much with those behind him. He's got to focus forward if he wants to keep Lindy in check here, because we've said it many times, Lindy's strength is his consistency.
I've also mentioned 8 8 to 8.5 second Joker delta. That is a big chunk of change, and one that you want to take advantage of quite cleverly. So Bjorklund goes, Paulson follows him, and I think Anderson Room has followed too, but interestingly, Matthew Lindy is going to wait and maybe hold it off for a couple more laps. It's only a 5-lap heat. It will be a 10-lap main event, though, Joe.
So up and over the jump. Interestingly, I was watching Antonesen and Van Wereld. Strange moment for Antonesen, who kind of almost cut the corner for a brief moment, but it looks like he's disposed of whatever black flag he had to serve a penalty for on that one. But on board with Lindy now. And oh, you can't touch those big curbs on the inside. That is what happens.
And if you're Lindy, do you Joker now with, yes, all that traffic in front of you? The 3 darts down to the right and emerges alongside with Bjorklund, but with the superior speed that the Joker provides, he takes back the lead. And looking back to the next driver who is yet to have Jokered, we'll have to watch the margins, but I do think that Lindy's comfortable now with 2 laps left to go.
That was a little bit tight for Lindy there, because Bjorklund was the one that was out in clear air since he took that Joker earlier and gained a lot of time. But like you said, that extra speed was just enough, and Matt was able to retake the lead.
So Wegner does indeed, confirmed on the left-hand side, have Jokered. So does Sotens, and so just Paul Smith and Cole Fisher yet to take that mark. Green line represents the cut line for those advancing on forward, and it's therefore Thomas Paulson that's going to have to be watching in the rear view mirrors as the windshield wipers go off through this dirt section, and we get a good look on board of Wegner just steering it to the left and now balancing the car back out as they re-enter tarmac. You can see a big lock of the handbrake potentially in front as a couple of cars are locking brakes as well, but Wegner still has some time to try and close. You've got one more lap to try and find the time.
You can see how much the car wants to swing out left there when you approach that jump. It's extremely scary because from the way that the nose seems to want to go up for a lot of these cars, you kind of have set your course and you don't know where you're landing because you can't see it.
Look at all those trophies behind Thomas Paulson, who's done his fair share of boat racing and rallycross racing as well in the real world, leaning into things in the sim world, even in virtual reality. Sim racers have that tendency to get into that stance, don't they, Joe?
Well, that's why he's got the safety belts on, to make sure that he doesn't fall off the chair.
I have wondered, is it because he's got motion on his rig or something? We might have to ask him at some point. But here comes Lindy. Maximum points so far secured, and that's exactly what he wants. Not sure if the championship's already wrapped up, but one hand on it surely as he comes across the line to grab the victory in heat number 1. Bjorklund and Paulson to advance along with him. And the rest of the drivers still have their chance to get through in an LCQ as we get this wonderful look from up above. You did mention it is kind of like a Roval rally course.
Well, because we've got this one, we've got Charlotte, and we've got Phoenix as well. So, yeah, there's definitely a few tracks that iRacing has used that to their advantage. And honestly, they're all kind of, I give them credit because they all really have their own character.
They do. You mentioned the sausage curbs at the start. Mario Belfonte, I think it was, found out just how dangerous they can be in the IRX All-Star Series. Here's a look at the race results out of the first race. As you see, the 3 that advanced, the rest that have to go through one of 2 potential LCQs. Let's take you to the starting grid, though, for the second of the heat, where Tom Grady, Vergard Olsen, Leah, and then Andrew Howell, Eric Dubois are the front 4, with Greg Johnson and Jake Robichaux behind them. Of course, Grady needs some good points to try and put the pressure back on to Matthew Lindy up front. Owen Anderson and Trevor Teal making his first appearance this season will line up in 8th. Franklin Monac back in 9th. Rounds out the 9 cars that will do battle here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. There are so many, by the way, fantastic racing facilities in the vicinity of Atlanta. Not just here. You've got Atlanta Motorsports Park and Road Atlanta as well. It's a treat for motorsports fans, but these drivers are ready to go. And the engines are revved once more. On the inside there, you see Andrew Howell. He's got a pretty good look at potentially a line that he can try and look to inside of Tom Grady. He gets the good launch. Leah on the outside, though, again converts the outside to the lead, running into the penultimate corner. Grady yoinks on the handbrake, gets himself very, very sideways, but he'll run in second as we work our way back to the line.
Unfortunately getting spun around at the back of the field, but otherwise we're clean through, and you can see him try to get that car turned around in the background. So Grady, great job there on being able to hold his ground. I was kind of thinking, you know, which side do I want to be at the start? And honestly, I was thinking the inside would be the place to be, but I guess if you're willing to risk getting accidentally punted off around the outside, then yeah, it seems that's got more momentum.
So a couple of cars take to the Joker. Tom Grady does not. So Olsen, Leah, Dubois, Robichaux, and Anderson, the four that have. It's Grady, Howell, and then Johnson and Monac that have not. But I think Franklin Monac involved in an incident. Greg Johnson's lost a whole bunch of ground. So realistically, of the four that have Jokered, they're only worried about these two drivers as they balance that car in the air. You heard the throttle just bounce a little bit as Grady tried to settle the car. Get on the throttle, you'll get the front end stepping up on the brakes, it will sit on down. It's one of those things you have to think about.
Yeah, it's something that you kind of learn to drive the car in the air. Like I said, you can't change your trajectory, but you can change the angle, like you said, the nose or the tail, just with the throttle or the brake. We got a nice battle heading down into turn 7 here.
That was Tom Grady taking to the Joker, and now Vergard Olsen Leah on the inside clambering on the grass. Might have to defend from Grady back into the opening corner. Grady very, very nose high as he lands back over to the start-finish stripe, and now with 5 cars having Jokered, excuse me, 6 cars having Jokered, Greg Johnson has as well. If Andrew Howell can time this correctly, he might have a golden opportunity to take advantage of all of this chaos, because as they run their way into the donk slide, bit of a mistake from Robichaux behind, I think, as they slide their way onto, excuse me, Dubois behind, they're all stacking up on one another.
You got to be so careful through there. The accordion effect just brings you all together, and there's chances to get underneath someone, but there's also chances to run into someone. Speaking of which, I saw Dubois in the background there just slide off the course a little bit, and that cost him a spot.
So we're going to head on to the penultimate lap of the race this time by. Andrew Howell, this lap alone, I think, is going to close at least a full second, if not more than that, to within that Joker Delta. Tom Grady is in danger of being put onto the bubble spot now that Jake Robichaux's Fiesta slid on through on Dubois. He's going to start to feel the need, the urge to go offensive at some point.
We saw Dubois in the background again have an issue. Of course, take a little bit of pain with a penalty. Grady still challenging with Leah, but could not get the throttle down.
And so Andrew Howell saving the Joker for the final lap of the race. Grady lost a whole bunch of time, has some damage now to the left front, I think, of that Subaru. Goes deep into the braking zone as they transition back onto the gravel. Leah will lead as the white flag is out, but the second heat still got some drama to give, and I think Howell's in a golden shot to leapfrog his way to the front.
Grady has got to try and do something here to get by on this position, because you have to remember there's also the chance that if something happens between them, he's out of the cut line. He needs to try and make this position up.
Exactly. Onto the handbrake. At least one of those cars goes, and they bang doors. On board with Andrew Howell on the bottom corner of your screen. He's got so much momentum, and he's gone on clear. There was never much doubt about it, and he keeps the car on the track. That's the important thing. Saw behind, Robichaux slips his way onto the grass as he makes a slight mistake trying to close, but Grady goes the long way around in the battle to try and get better grid position in the feature. It's a sideways spin for one. Grady's going to go up and over, and that might be his chance to go on through compromised.
He's going to get it righted, and somehow he'll get to the line. He only needed to go a few hundred feet, and the car made it. Oh, my
wow,
goodness.
You could not script it. At least he's got a smile on his face as well. Oh, Andrew Howell wins, but it was all behind him where the action was.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. Yes, he was in third, and he could have maybe tried to just settle down and take it home, but there's always a risk. If you're on the bubble, you want to try and have at least one buffer between you.
I think mathematically now, because Grady went down to third, it might be championship done, but don't quote me on that, because never trust the commentators' math. They're already ready to go for the first of 2 LCQs, so we've got to run you down to the starting grid where Rennie Wegner, Rennie Sotens, Sim Van Werel, Paul Smith, Anderson Room, and Cole Fisher are the 6 drivers that are getting locked and loaded, and what will be a rather intriguing battle with, I believe, still 3 drivers working their way on forward, so 3 to enter. 3 to move on forward, I should say, and 3 to leave us and complete the season here today, Joe.
All right, so this is your last opportunity. Again, you've made your bet in this situation. You're here now, so you've really just got to deal with it as it comes. And you can't sit and dwell on what happened in the past.
And so now All 6 drivers on the grid. It's a field of Subarus and 1 Fiesta in the form of Paul Smith in the middle of the Rallycross sandwich. Away we go, and it's a great jump this time from the inside. Wegner's going to lead them as they're 3 wide behind for second into the penultimate corner. Smith backs out, presents an opportunity around the outside for Cole Fisher to leapfrog his way on forward to 4th. He gets bars out wide, though. Smith retakes the position on the run to the line. Wegner, Sotens, Van Wereld, Smith, Anderson, Room, and then Cole Fisher, the top 6.
I may regret saying this, but that was actually a surprisingly clean start for this one, considering it's an LCQ. Usually these things are frantic as everybody desperately does not want to get locked out of the feature.
Who goes to the Joker this time by? Paul Smith does, and indeed no one does in front of him, so clearly they've all decided they need to keep that. It's still a 5-lap race, we should remind you, and because this is RX2, we haven't had a chance to get to our Racecraft race analysis because this racing has been so frenetic and fast-paced, but these are fixed setups. The drivers all don't have the ability, Joe, to dial in the car to what they want.
Exactly. It's just constantly go time on this one. And like you said, only 3 of these drivers go to the feature, so half the field is going to be out. You need to be in that top half, as this is what Paul Smith is focused on. He's got to make up this second on Van Wereld, or else he's done.
I like the look of Cole Fisher behind him, who's moved the Halloween decorations from outside to indoors, it would seem, as we get ready for Christmas. But you can see some steering damage. He had a good start, was in a position to potentially cycle his way on forward, but I think is going to be his season done and dusted. Still, no one has taken to the Joker of those who are in contention, and so it means that it's still a bit of a stalemate, as a bit of a sideways moment for Van Wereld. Paul Smith's also losing some ground too.
That's not a good sign for Paul. Like I said, he was already about a second back. Everybody being so single file means now they can really focus on their own racing, on their own line here, which is going to make it more difficult. You kind of want those in front of you to be scrabbling with one another to slow each other up.
And so maybe there is the need for Paul Smith to take to the Joker this time by and put some pressure for someone else to do the same. On board with Van Wereld, he's peeled off to the right, so is Wegner, so Soten stays left, and I would assume Paul Smith follows. Yes, he does, as they cycle their way back on towards the run into the penultimate corner. Now Sotens has got to just hit his mark. Still, as the time runs, 8.5 seconds, he'll slide his way back to second.
You can see why this double corner is so difficult. Starts on pavement, it goes downhill slightly, and then suddenly it's onto dirt. So you have so many different factors to try and keep track of to find the right line. And I can tell you from my time trying to run it, it's tough to hit the right line consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are the GRC spec tires, which weren't necessarily the most Rallycross specific tires. They were more DOT specific sort of tires, and therefore you drive them in a slightly different way to maybe how some would expect. So Wegner started to build that advantage up towards the front. I can tell you Anderson Rooms had a little bit more of an issue, but intriguing as we ride on board with Sotens and watch the perspective, the smooth hands at work as well. Saves that Joker for the final lap. Doesn't look like he's going to challenge for the win. Still, we'll have a pretty good grid position, you'd have to say, in the feature race, but ultimately, like we've been saying all along, finishing spots equals grid position further down the line.
And better points, of course, we have to remember too. So you definitely want to be finishing as high as you possibly can. There's that consistency, but there's also that pressure to perform. The 77 right now looking pretty handy, at least at this stage. And another Joker lap taken. This time Sotens finally done with that here on the final lap. That's going to slot him back in a second.
He was about a second back as well from being able to challenge for the victory in this first of 2 LCQ races, but it is going to be the 2 Renes at the front. Rene Wegner bounces his way to the line. Rene Sotens follows, and Sim Van Wereld says, I've got a feature spot on the line as well. Unfortunately, it's Paul Smith, Anderson Room, and Cole Fisher that we say goodbye to after their Racecraft RX2 campaign will come to an end, but it's been a fun one. Paul Smith joined us late after watching some of the action early doors and decided it was so much fun he wanted to join the fun as well. And don't forget, you might be able to do so moving forward, as Anderson Rooms had a bit of a spill in the closing stages before he can get to the line.
Is he going to get to the line here? He looks like he's having fun. There we go. Now he's going to trigger the... I was going to say, you can't sit there forever, bud. We got to finish this race.
We've got the RX1 driver to turn our attention to as well. Here's a look at those race results, though. Again, 3 move forward, 3 done for the season and done for the year as well. We'll be watching on, I'm sure, to see exactly what we've still got in line. Apparently, Cole Fisher is still trying to finish up this race as well, so we've still got a couple of moments before we can make our way on over to the starting grid for the second and final of the LCQs. And as I say that, right on cue, Cole Fisher has just exited the track. Here's a look at the starting formation then, where Greg Johnson, Eric Dubois, Owen Anderson, Jake Robichaud, a pair of Fiestas, great to see that, and Franklin Monak and Trevor Teal make up the 6 that will do battle. And again, 3 to move forward, 3 to leave. It's the same situation as what we've just seen.
That even rhymes, right?
Oh no, I'm becoming Joey Tebben now.
Yeah. And we've got at least 5 of the 6 grid up. There we go. Now all 6 are out there. So this is it. End of the season for somebody. It's the end of everything.
Let's take a look at how they'll go in what has been a remarkably clean cycle of starts so far here in Atlanta. It's a good jump from the front. The Fiestas not all getting away as well. On the curb on the inside is the next level racing machine of Greg Johnson. Dubois still looking the long way around. It opens the door for Robichaud to slither his Fiesta up the inside. And now as well, the green Subaru of Dubois runs into the wall. He drops out of the top 3.
Oh, he has just unfortunately been rife with mistakes today. That was his own doing once again, and that sends him all the way to the back. Car looks like it's still going. He's going to get at least one of them back. We didn't see it on screen, but there was a spin off from Anderson, so there's at least up to 5th for him.
And so Trevor Teal has gone from the back to the front to the Jokers and takes the lead. I think Eric Dubois has cycled down to the Joker with him, but it is not the easiest Joker at the best of times. And he's not, I think, made a mistake and has had a technical issue at the same time. And poor Eric Dubois, I think that is season done for him. Robichaud on the handbrake to correct a slight deep entry into the corner as Owen Anderson follows after that spin from behind. I think we'll see his Joker lap trigger on the left-hand side as he runs into the wall. Here's the craziness we were waiting for, Joe.
Absolutely, and now Anderson has got to get up on the wheel because those 2 in front of him are so close together. They're both not going to be in this position, and they take the Joker at the same time.
Well, I think they just wanted to get away from Anderson, who, like I suspected, had taken to the Joker after the spin to try and get some better track position. The Fiesta has a look up the inside, but Johnson gives just enough room. Another look as they get to the final corner. Robichaud uses the grass, but he's up to 2nd now.
Hey, it's fair, and it worked out well for him. So Robichaud has the track position, and oftentimes that can mean so much in this style of racing since you have to be aggressive, and he's too aggressive on the corner. He bounces over the curb.
And now, does he have a slowdown to boot as well? I would not be shocked if that is the case. Doesn't seem like he's losing too much time, but Franklin Monak is not inside of the Joker Delta, so he won't have too much worries. With that in mind, we can go back and look at the spin that you were mentioning for poor Owen Anderson.
Yeah, so this was just coming in a little bit too hot once again into that corner, clipped the curb, and the car just couldn't deal with it, even with the grippier tires at the start of the race. That's all it took, and it just kind of sends him shooting to the left.
Remember, the suspension travel on these cars has to be not insignificant to handle the bumps over the regular gravel, but also the landings over the jumps. And so when you go over some of those curbs, it can unsettle the car if it's not balanced the weight correctly. And so moments like that relatively easily. And we mentioned earlier, it's fixed setups. These drivers don't get the ability to dial in potentially that suspension the way they would want to run the lines that they would want. That is also something you very much have to keep in mind. Trevor Teal, by the way, I am going to throw some shade his way. iRacing Off-Road All-Star Invitational, he promised us he was going to race in the pickle suit. No pickle suit was promised, and Joe, no pickle suit has come today to close the championship out. He says it's because he's becoming professional, but for someone who is managing the Nitro Circus sim racing team, I think it's almost in your job description and the edicts from Travis Pastrana that you're not meant to be serious.
Is he claiming that professionals who wear pickle suits aren't professional?
Apparently.
Because I take offense to that.
Do you wear pickle suits?
That's for me to know and you to find out.
Ooh, I need to see pictures of this. Regardless, if Trevor doesn't want to wear a pickle suit, he says he wants to play Team Dad, you've got to then dress up like an old man, and I'm talking gray hair and everything. I'm just saying.
I think that would still be cool to see. There's some cool dad styles out there, no matter what they say. And Trevor Teal is going to look pretty cool with the win, I think.
Yeah, he'll move his way on forward into the main event on his debut this season. Greg Johnson behind in the Subaru Advances as well, and it is going to be a Fiesta that moves forward as Jake Robichaux keeps it out of trouble and takes advantage of those misfortunes around to take a damaged Fiesta, it must be said. The entire front end of that car needs a complete replacement. Ford spare parts department would enjoy the invoice for that one, especially given that it's short time to get ready to go before we go racing for the feature. That is, though, on the other side of a 2-minute warm-up. The drivers that have been watching on and waiting for their opportunities after moving forward from the heats get a chance to check the track out before they go racing once again. Here's the confirmation of those results. Teal, Johnson, Robichaux to go through, Anderson, Monac and Dubois that we unfortunately say goodbye to. And yeah, like I mentioned, cars on track once again, and now Matthew Lindy knows that all he needs to do is stay out of trouble, and Joe, the championship will be his.
So that's really a huge relief for him. Although staying out of trouble is always easier said than done in this style of racing. If I was him, I would try to pick the strategy that puts him on his own, even if it isn't quicker than some of the others, because the more he stays away from other cars, the more he controls his own destiny.
Which to me indicates that if you get a good start and you lead the field at the line to start the official first lap, the wise thing to do is come down and joker?
Probably, yeah. I'd say do that, get yourself away from everybody else, don't give anybody a chance to try and undercut you that way, but we'll see if he elects to do that, as they're definitely having some fun drifting on the pavement. Also, I love Tom Grady's sense of humor. He said, Lindy, you can disconnect now.
Did he really?
Yes, he did.
I think that means the championship might be officially wrapped up then.
Battery hopes that maybe he can convince him it's wrapped and he'll...
Mind games, the mental warfare at play from the Legion Speed Sports driver. I tell you what, they're having some fun in this warm-up session, that is for sure. Oh, it's not fun anymore.
Just a little off. It doesn't cost you anything here in this one, and they got 13 seconds left, so this is... it's end of the season, you might as well have a good time with this.
This is fun. Like I said, this is one of my personal favorites. Daytona's up there as well. We managed to include both their long configurations on our schedule. Checkbox, I think, next to good schedule for the organizers as that warm-up session comes to an end and the drivers get ready to rumble. One final time this season, we can take a look at that Racecraft race analysis finally. 5-lap heats, 5-lap LCQs, and a 10-lap feature. It's double the length, same incident limit though. Let's hope they can all stay out of trouble. Let's run you down to the starting grid then as they filter their way down to get ready to go. It's Lindy and Howell on the front row. Bjorklund and Olsen-Leah behind them, and then Poulsen and Grady starting 5th and 6th positions. Rennie Wegner, Trevor Teal, Rennie Sotens, Greg Johnson, Sim van Wereld, and Jake Robichaux round out the 12 drivers that will battle in the final round of the RX2 main events. Just waiting for the one driver to pop into place. Joe, I'm putting you on the spot. Who comes out on top in about 10 laps time?
I'm going to go with 12th again, Robichaux.
Oh, let's see if we can go from the back to the front. And if a driver can survive an LCQ, and the craziest LCQ, to win here at Atlanta. Engines rev for the final time this season in RX2, and Lindy gets swarmed on the start. Bjorklund's already alongside us into the penultimate corner they go. It's a shot to the bumper though, from Leah to Lindy, pushes him back to the lead, and there somehow is drama. Lindy stays out of it, spearing off the track goes Kim-Andre Bjorklund. Lindy still slow though as they rumble to the line.
Oh no, car's going off, and that is a hard place to hit. I'm trying to figure out who that was.
It's Grady.
Tom Grady stuck in the wall.
And that is championship done, you would assume. Chaos on the start, and off into the Joker, Thomas Poulsen goes.
A couple other drivers, I think Robichaux, one of those heading out of the... No, he took the regular one, it looks like, there in that green machine. So he's going to stay towards the back of them. But wow, that was a frantic start to this race, and a few drivers really paid the price.
So at the end of the opening lap, I think we are going to see, of course, Thomas Poulsen lead, but it's those that haven't jokered that maybe still find themselves in a decent position. Teal is 2 seconds off of Poulsen, as off the jump Howell, Wegner, Sotens. Those are the cars that run their way, having not had the crown on the left-hand side illuminate. 8 to 8.5 seconds. Howell still has to find a second or two to be in a really comfortable spot.
That was really frustrating to watch. Grady hung out there in the fence for a while, I guess hoping maybe somebody would nudge him out of the way and help him out. But his final feature ends basically with him not even starting the official first lap.
And let's not forget that he didn't really end his heat in great aplomb either. That's a slide wide by Trevor Teal. Snowtons and Lindy slide their way on through. And as we're too wide, too deep over the jump, this is what Rallycross is about. They give each other room, though. And into the opening corner, who backs out? We know you can't take those sausage curves. Lindy on through. Shot to the bumper from Trevor Teal to Soton. Sees Teal drop behind Sim Van Wereld. Oh, there's chaos going everywhere, and Trevor Teal turns Van Wereld.
Off, stuck at the side of the track now. It's going to be a huge loss of time, but this is quite a few cars still together, and you can see one car off in the first apex, another in the second. That was Bjorklund, as you mentioned, that second car. And then this, I didn't see what caused them to go off. So it looks like maybe a bad landing for the car next to him. And Grady was just an innocent victim. And
like you say, really nothing that he could have done except wait in the fence for someone to help. And then what happened to Van Wereld? Let's see if we can pick this one up. He's a little bit wide. I know this is Trevor Teal gets the shove first, and then there's a bit of a rebound in avoidance as well as in the live pictures. There's a couple more cars going around. The heats were not a representation of, I think, what we should have expected from this main event.
No, it really exploded, but I mean, it's not too shocking because I know we keep bringing it up, but it's the final race. What have you got to lose now?
The drivers were warned that penalties may carry over into future seasons of Racecraft Rallycross, so maybe they got to keep that in mind as riding with Teal into the penultimate corner. Battle for the lead has closed on up as Matthew Lindy sees his championship basically done and dusted, but maybe he can grab it with a win as he lands on Thomas Paulson over the jump.
Got to be careful of that stuff. He's very lucky that that worked out okay. Oh no, maybe he damaged his car. He's going to take a cut course penalty on that one.
Oh, he's not healthy. That car is really, really damaged. And is he going to be able to steer it home, because he seems to be struggling to turn it to the right on occasion?
Very much so. Look at how much he had to crank into that. I will say that Paul Smith even said GG on the championship, Matt. So I think the points have been wrapped up. We just don't have official confirmation, but from all the indications, it sounds like no matter where he finishes, he's still your champion.
And as we, by the way, are going to cross the line to have half this race complete, championship locked up, maybe, yes, but I think the win still very much up for grabs. If Andrew Howell, the only driver still out there on track as not jokered, can get himself to within 8 seconds, he is in that bumper window, and more importantly, even if he's not inside of it, he will put some pressure on as Trevor Teal bump and run potentially to the back of René Sotens in the fight for a potential podium position.
So wheel, this is going to be interesting coming through the donk slide, and nice move by both of them to keep it fair. Just the tiniest of touches unsettle the car.
And I think now, as Bjorklund and Johnson close on Teal as we ride on board with the 150 machine hard at work with the hands, it means that Sotens has got a bit more separation, and now maybe he can try and build up a little bit more of a gap. Trevor Teal's up 4 positions after working his way from the back of his LCQ to the front and taking the best starting position that he could. Unfortunately, Joe Peaks, slightly commentator's cursed, I think, on Jake Robichaux, Joe. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, possibly. But like I said, I learned from that one time, if you predict the last place, then there's nothing they can really lose in that situation because they can't go backwards.
It's not that is a glass half full way of looking at things as Andrew Howell stays out on track. Lap 7 of 10 still underway, and boy, I heard a bang into the wall, which meant someone got very close to that inside apex off of the donk slide. It's something that has led to a fair few pushed in front ends on all of the machines that we've seen over the course of the day. Back over, by the way, to the race lead, because Matthew Lindy's apparently been able to fix that damage on his car.
Fix the damage or just adapt to it. I mean, this is really impressive because it didn't look like it was handling great. Let's stay on board here. Let's watch the steering, especially down through the donk slide, because last time he had to crank so much wheel into it.
I mean,
it looks okay now.
It looks okay, but it also doesn't look okay. It's one of those very weird things. Oh, Trevor Teal's past René Sotens, and it's at the donk slide. It's not a traditional passing opportunity. I wonder how that one unfolded.
Hopefully we'll be able to get a replay of that one. Here we go. So managing to go in side by side. Again, takes quite a bit of bravery.
Oh,
Did he
wow.
just kind of elbow him out? Yes, indeed he did.
Oh, and what's happened? Thomas Paulson, he's in the wall. Oh, goodness. He's buried himself in some catch fencing. Fortunately able to back out of it. But he's dropped down and outside of the top 7. And I think Andrew Howell now finds himself in prime position to cycle his way to the lead.
Oh, he had help, unfortunately. Matthew Lindy got into the back of him. That's what put him into the wall there. Not intentional. Yeah, watch this. Just a little bit too hot into it and just hits the back. Unfortunately, the angle of the car means he gets speared into the wall.
Now, I don't necessarily think that might change the championship. What might is the fact that Andrew Lindy is back down on pit lane.
Oh, he hit the inside of turn 6.
Well, goodness gracious.
And Howell has not taken his. Now, here's the interesting thing. I was watching, and as we get battled down into turn 1 there, great stuff between that pair. Howell was about looking like he would emerge in 3rd. This means Andrew might actually win this race.
I'm pretty sure Andrew's going to cycle to the front. Rennie Soten's had an issue on the closing lap as well. Timing will jump him to the front, but as we emerge out of the Joker, there goes Howell to the lead. It was waiting patiently that we'll see Andrew Howell grab the victory in the final round of the RX2 2023 campaign. We don't even know what has gone on, what championship implications there are. The only guarantee, Andrew Howell stayed out of things and wins at the Atlanta Motor Speedway to close off 2023.
That's the sort of finish where your spotter says, congratulations, you won, and you're going, wait, what? It's just, I'm sure he was just as unsure as us as how in the world he emerged leading this race.
I am speechless right now. You said that Matthew Lindy hit the inside wall. I think we need to go and actually watch that because, quite honestly, I can't quite believe that has happened as drivers celebrate the end of the season. Here's the look and, I mean, we're talking the narrowest of margins, aren't we here?
It is. It's a small tap, but the critical part of it is that it sends him out here before the Armco, and again, he gets stuck, and that's why he had to take a tow.
And maybe more heartbreakingly, there's no way to get yourself out of that one. Oh, he's stuck in the air in effect as wheels aren't even on the ground and instantly teleported out of the world. Well, we'll see what the results have to say about A, the race, and then B, the championship, but we'll do that all in due course. Here's a look at how the race results look. Andrew Howell's Ferris Shifters 666 victorious with Trevor Teal on his debut this season grabbing 2nd, Bjorklund 3rd, Johnson 4th, with Thomas Paulson dropping to 5th, and I'm sure a little bit heartbroken by how this has ended for him. Van Wereld 6th with Wegner, Olsen, Leah, and Robichaux, the final cars, finishing on the leading lap. Unfortunately for Rennie Sotens, he just DNFs, as does Matthew Lindy and Tom Grady, with 12 wild stories, I'm sure, to be told. I have, quite honestly, no idea where to start in terms of picking that one apart. The drivers are going to filter in to come and have a chat with us. We're waiting for the race winner, but before I think we can go and talk to a potential champion, I think we have to go and see if the points have updated. It's great that iRacing's our points adjudicator for this one, and I don't see it having updated just yet, so we will have to wait on that to make a final determination. Why don't we instead, Joe, go and talk to Tom Grady, who you're standing by with now?
Absolutely, Tom. Unfortunately, not even getting to start his first lap on this one. I'm sure this was frustrating, but we saw your camera when you had your spin in the LCQ. You were laughing about all that was happening. It seems like you're all taking this in good humor.
Yeah, you know, after I saw me and Matt qualified back-to-back, and then he had a clean heat, my points race was pretty much over. You know, I was 12 points behind going into today, and then a couple of points behind Tyler, and he didn't show up today, so that kind of gave me 2nd place. But the heat kind of just kept going downhill, and luckily, you know, we had enough gap on 4th place. I still made it through, but you know, today was just see what we could do. I knew it was a long shot to get the overall, but we still want to give it our best effort. So we put in the laps, and you know, had some teammates show up to help spot and stuff, but wasn't enough to knock Matt off that top spot.
Yeah, and like you said, you can't give up on that. You always have to give it a go. So what does that inform you on next season? Will you come back and try and see if you can step one step higher in the points?
Yeah, I mean, there's one final goal, and that's to get the championship before moving up to the fast guys in RX1. You know, that class, it's a whole different field, and I don't think I'm totally ready for that yet, but want to come back to RX2 next season, get that top one, and then see where we go from there.
Well, again, commiserations that this didn't go the way that you wanted it to, but congratulations on a well-run season, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to everyone that helped set the series up and run it. You know, it's a really fun running with these guys, and can't thank those that help support the series, but then also support me, my teammates over at Factory Sim Sport and Legion Speed Sports, and then also my sponsors, Raceline Wheels and Alter Ego Running. Couldn't do without all these guys, and look forward to next year.
That was Tom Grady, who sadly was a DNF on that last race, but I believe we're going to do the Lindy Hop over to Arjuna with Matthew.
Exactly. We're joined by the unofficial champion, Matthew Lindy. Matthew, talk us through your emotions right now after what was a wild round.
Oh, man, dude. I honestly had a smile from ear to ear. Right now, I'm feeling a lot of guilt with wrecking Thomas there. It was totally not intentional. I had a brain fart going into that corner and then just boom, straight into him. But I got my karma there a lap later where I hit that inside wall and then just skidded on ice out of there.
Talk to us about the season that you've had, because RX2 is all about, getting to grips with these cars. Do you think you're ready now to step up to RX1? We were just chatting with Tom Grady about that.
Oh yeah, no, RX1, it's a whole different league. It's a whole different ballpark. It's really, I got my teammate there, Evan, and Robbie, who races there sometimes. He hasn't been too present this season, but I'm definitely ready to run. Hopefully it goes well. But yeah, no, it should be exciting.
Congratulations on the championship, Matthew, and we'll see you in 2024.
Yeah, and can I just thank a couple people real quick?
Go for it.
First off, I want to thank all my teammates, Dylan Baldwin, Ryan Hodge, Robbie Laurel, Evan Farland. Evan's been a big part in this championship. Our sponsors, Pit Viper, Fluid Logic, the whole KS Industries, people all behind me. I want to thank you guys, everyone at RaceSpot, for putting on an amazing stream. Sorry I wasn't able to get my mic working for like half the season, but and I also want to thank Racecraft for putting on an amazing series.
Matthew Lindy, your unofficial champion here in 2023 Season 2. We'll head over, though, to Thomas Paulson, who's standing by with Show Peak.
Indeed. It wound up finishing how you didn't really want it to there, Thomas. You kind of got stuck in the wall a little bit. What are your feelings after leading there for a good chunk of the race?
Absolutely amazing to have been up there and showing that I actually can do this on the top level. Unfortunately, how it ended out, that's racing, that's how it is. We can't do anything about it. But it was quite nice to actually be up there and give Linda a little trying past me.
You had a right good shot at it. Unfortunately, we got to keep this one short, so just one real quick one for you. What are the seat belts in your seat for? That's not a motion rig, is it?
No, it's not, but I have to keep my ego down, so...
Don't want to float away. Well, congratulations on a great race, and hopefully we'll talk to you more next season.
And so that was a chat with a couple of the drivers. Really fun season that we've seen. Matthew Lindy, I think, unofficial champion, to be confirmed official pending post-race review and race control, dialing through everything. Joe, here's a quick look at the season, and what a season it's been for the RX2 drivers. I'm looking forward to seeing who steps up to RX1 to challenge some of the drivers we're about to see.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the thing, is next season, who is going to be able to step up? We have to wonder. It's been domination here in RX1, and not really shocking, the driver that's been doing it.
And so, what a season it has been. Matthew Lindy is your unofficial champion, but now we can take a break and return to the Atlanta Motor Speedway with championship intentions in mind, but part 2. Don't go anywhere on RaceSpotTV. We'll be right back with the RX1 drivers as they all make their way back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway to finish things off. A champion may already be crowned, but it's time to set some bragging rights as we end off 2023. Welcome along to RX1 Racecraft Rallycross as the best drivers in the iRacing sphere get ready to duel on the dirt. Our Junior Kanki party once again alongside with Joe Peak as we get ready to unleash these machines with open setups and the ability to dial their cars in to maximize their potential. Joe, these drivers have been on the same journey as the RX2 competitors in that they've been on the very same tracks. But that complexion of being able to dial the cars in means that but week to week, as you prepare for each round, there is just a little bit more incentive for these drivers to get the laps in.
Exactly. So much more practice to be done to try and make sure that it's handling exactly how you like. There's speed to be had, but more than anything, comfort in how the car handles. It's almost maybe a little bit more difficult in the RX2 in that sense, in that if you don't like the way that fixed setup runs, then, well, you're out of luck. You just have to deal with it. Here, you can fiddle until you're happy with the car.
And that's maybe a problem in that you could tweak eternally thinking that you're getting it to be faster, but all you're doing is a bit of a placebo effect. If you're joining us for the first time, well, it's the same format from RX2 for points in that 6 points for qualifying, 8 points for the heat, and then 15 points for the feature. But ultimately, when it comes to the point structure, championship has already been determined. It's been a perfect season so far for the young Jacob Rafoss. He's had 5 victories in 5 attempts. He has almost double the points of those behind. He comes into this round with a championship already wrapped up, and so what does that mean? Joe, he takes the evening off.
He gets to be a spectator now. He can just watch, yeah, and it's already wrapped. From there, though, you see Fox and McFarlane are going to be fighting for that second spot, only separated by 9 points between them, and both of them are here today. It's a little bit of a jump to Pakala, so it's going to be harder for him to try and get up there. If anything, he's looking over his shoulder at Palaneva there, who only needs 2 points to get ahead of him.
Yeah, these are close fights, and that's where that point structure where sometimes a position is worth a point really is going to start to pay out dividends. And we've already talked about how important qualifying is going to be with RX2. It's no different from these drivers. We've only got 13 of them getting ready to do battle. So again, I think we're only going to split them up into 2 heats and maybe 1 of the LCQs. But they're fighting around 1 mile on the infield of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's 36% tarmac, 64% dirt, with 8.5 second Joker Delta. That's an interesting number, of course, because there's 2 Joker styles, the shortcut and the long cut. Some of the shortcuts, though, are sometimes only 2 or 3 seconds, Joe. They're not as big and drastic as the one is here where you cut a full corner out.
Yeah, exactly. This is unusual in what we have available here on iRacing. Other tracks around the world might see that a little bit more frequently, but definitely it makes life interesting for the drivers because I think, honestly, it gives them a lot more to play with.
I kind of like in some ways that because we've got a hairpin where we've seen an RX2 you can pass, albeit needing to be physical to make your way on forward, there is a bit of an incentive to use that Joker and time it correctly. Once again, cars are on track for qualifying, so let's pick up the closing attempts for some of these drivers because most of the times are already onto the board. Last 60 seconds on the clock. You can see the times already on the left. Josh Fox, the best of them all so far. McFarlane will want to try and improve. He's currently 3:10 soft, and as he runs his way to the line, he does find a marginal improvement in time. Will jump him up to second, but it's advantage to Fox in qualifying and the additional point going his way.
And what that also means is McFarlane won't be in the same heat as him because of that, with him jumping forward into P2, as long as someone doesn't separate the two of them from here. But considering it's Blanche and Kirtley who are down towards the bottom, it doesn't seem as likely. It's not impossible, but, well, that makes it impossible for at least one of them.
And I think Kirtley doesn't have enough time to get back to the line, if I'm being honest. 15 seconds on the clock. If you take a look at the time... Yep, no, there's not going to be enough time. If he's 33 seconds complete on the lap and still has probably 13 to go, that is going to be qualifying done and dusted. And so Josh Fox, in the absence of Jacob Rafos, takes the pole position. To be fair, Rafos hasn't been grabbing that many pole positions over the course of the season. It's been the race performances where he's just been blistering and often pulling away and dominating his races. The Williams Esports driver, though, will go from the front of Heat 1 alongside former iRacing Rallycross competitor as well, Connor Parisi, Josh Edmondson, Sammy Matta on row 2 with Sean Winkler, and then Russell Peterson behind them. 5th and 6th positions. Robbie Kirtley by himself on the 7th position of the starting formation. And much like with the RX2 drivers, we've got some cameras for these drivers who are getting ready to go. Still got the seatbelts of Thomas Paulson there, but Russell Peterson's got the Santa hat on. Josh Edmondson has slipped into virtual reality. You've got McFarlane, you've got Winkler, and then joining us, I think maybe for the first time, Paul Miko Lijek, who will be going in the second of the heats tonight, but always interesting to see some of the different things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, everybody's kind of got their own little rig set up, and definitely some drivers that might be tweaking their setups here late on the car itself, because we only have seen 4 of the 7 grid up so far. We're still missing Fox, Parisi, and Edmondson.
Maybe they were just giving me time to read through the grid. I wouldn't be complaining about that, to be fair. Parisi's gridded up, now just waiting for the final 2, but it's also sometimes mental warfare. Who wants to be the last to sit on the grid, and then the lights will begin to build and the engines will rev. We're just waiting for Josh Edmondson now in virtual reality, and there he goes, plopped on down, and we can go for the first of 2 heats. It will be 3 drivers to advance, 5 laps on the board, and for the final time this season, the Racecraft RX1 drivers get the event underway, with Fox getting a pretty good launch alongside, though Parisi's going to challenge him down into the penultimate corner. Long way around potentially for Peterson, who backs out of things. Contact between Matta and Edmondson for 3rd and 4th position, but as they squabble side by side over the jump for the lead, Fox has got the inside, Parisi alongside.
How they both gave each other as much space as possible over that jump. They didn't want to risk it, which was smart, but it goes to Fox just briefly. Look at that, tucking back to the inside. Connor with a brilliant back and forth.
That was wonderfully judged, and neither driver jokers. Edmondson, though, the one that pirouettes to the right and descends his way to the shortcut. These drivers have more contact. Looked like Sammy Matta maybe got involved with Josh Fox as they filtered off with the joker, but it's Edmondson that will lead now. Parisi and Fox going to have to wonder, when do they take to the shortcut?
Yeah, Sammy got a little bit sideways. I think maybe he had some help coming off of the dog slide, so that's what did that one. Edmondson leading with him having taken that joker lap gives him the clear air. That could be important.
8.5 seconds, especially at this level, those drivers are able to execute to take the most advantage, so it would be closer to the 8.5 second gain than the 8 second gain, whereas it would be counterintuitive for the loss. Neither driver goes to the right this time. They're all setting up to just work their way through. Fox closes up and gets into the right rear of Parisi's Nitro Circus sim racing machine. Just a little bit of a reminder, I'm here and I'm closing.
Indeed, he's trying to make sure that he can't forget about him, but he's got to be careful as he dips a wheel off, and there you go. That's exactly what I talked about earlier in this broadcast. If your wheel goes off that cliff, then it unsettles the car and it points it right where you don't want to go.
Take a look at the replay of what happened to Sammy Matta as he slid very, very aggressively to the side of Josh Fox and then unfortunately just got bonked directly into the wall. And yes, he has regained his composure and gathered things back up, but front end of that car probably looking worse for the wear, and might be also feeling worse for the wear in terms of steering. Going to go on to the penultimate lap of the race, and we're still waiting for these 2 former World Championship competitors to take to the joker as Sammy Matta slides his way down the shortcut.
Yeah, so that's actually going to just... Oh no, he blew his engine. He must have hit really hard then, because the engine has expired.
That is not common, but it's why you do have to mind your P's and Q's when it comes to abusing these cars. Remember, top 3 advanced, by the way, as well. I don't think we necessarily highlighted that. Edmondson, I think, might be feeling comfortable. It's Robbie Kirtley that sees in his rearview mirror both of these drivers closing in on him, and if I'm either of these drivers, I go to the Joker this time by. Fox is setting up. Parisi's the one that stays on the regular lap. Fox is going to get out behind Edmondson, but with the speed into the penultimate corner, he jinks to the inside.
Oh, it's going to be a wheel-to-wheel battle through the double apexer here. And as they come off to the jump, the inside this time is the place to be for Josh Fox. Brilliantly executed.
Battle of the Joshes, but Fox takes the line for the time being. His margin to Parisi is about 7 seconds or so as they cross the line. Parisi still yet to come out of the final corner, though. It's going to be that merge that's going to be so important. Where are they all going to feed on out? They're into the donk slide. Where's Parisi's Nitro Circus sim racing machine getting bottled up behind Kirtley and getting ready to run to the right?
There he goes. He had to take it this time, and I'm not sure that he's got the speed. It's going to be very, very close inside. Oh, and once again, Josh dipping the tire off. I think that did him in.
I think Parisi would have had the overspeed anyway, but regardless, he played it wise, didn't run into the back of Fox as they came on that Joker merge. Good respect for racing and a great start to the evening for the RX1 drivers. Parisi wins in heat number 1. Fox grabs second. Edmondson third. All 3 advancers to the feature, separated by less than a second.
Impressive stuff between them. And that was with 3 different strategies between them, too. And yet they all came out almost even with one another. For Sammy Matta, though, that's got to be frustrating, especially since, if I'm seeing correctly, is it only 1 driver is going to be eliminated from the feature?
No. Ooh, yes. That is a good point. Because we've got 13, maximum of 12 in the main event, that is probably going to mean that only 1 driver gets eliminated. You don't want to be in that LCQ, that's for sure. Confirmation of the results, and we'll go straight over to the grid for heat number 2, where 6 drivers are going to battle. McFarlane, Palaneva, Pakala, Heiskanen, Mika Lijek on debut for the Racecraft Academy, and then Zach Blanche at the back in the number 22 machine. Already I'm hearing the engines rev, and so the drivers have turned their attention towards the lights, and heat number 2 is now underway. McFarlane gets a pretty decent launch on the inside, and Pakala's not going to be able to challenge around the outside. Palaneva's no control machine slots back into second. It's a nice tiny start for all 6 of them.
Off the jump, it looks like they're going to be nice and clean there as well. Remember, for McFarlane, this is an opportunity to pull one over on Josh Fox in the points. If he can take the win, Fox finished second, remember.
That would then mean, I think, it's back to how they came into the night, because Fox would have got the bonus point in qualifying. McFarlane can get an additional point for the heat races, since Fox finished in second, and it leaves 9 points difference between them going into the feature. It still means that Fox is in control, but McFarlane's still very much in play in the KES Industries machine as he runs his way over the jump in the lead, having jokered along with Joni Palaneva. Jukka Pakala, the first of the drivers to have remained on the long lap.
And he's leading a train of cars. They have not separated at all back there compared to what we saw in all the previous races. Everybody glued together. I'm sure that'll change as it goes on, but I mean, we saw, as that was a lot of curb there from Heiskanen that you saw bounce off that inside turtle, and he's going to take to that Joker, and out guessing because of that little hit.
Ooh, that was a bit wide, it seemed, from McFarlane, who did what Fox was doing on many occasions, and we got the static shot, but you're right, Heiskanen takes the Joker, and I think more just trying to keep himself in contention maybe of those in front. Different lines being taken as they bring themselves back over to the stripe to complete lap number 2 of 5. Pakala still inside of touching distance, but now with less and less companies starting to build the buffer to Paul Mika Lijek. Joni Palaneva is still now closing on the bumper of the race leader, and this is maybe not where you want to start fighting. I think Joni Palaneva, if he closes, will just we hear a big bump as the cars run their way in through the wall. Might not force the issue just yet, Joe.
Not yet, but if he gets a whiff of the win, I'm pretty sure he's going to try and take it. Falls off of him just slightly here on the latter half of the lap, but it does look like on the first half he's very, very good because he closes right in on the 04.
Paul Mika Lijek has jokered this time, and as he gets all sorts of wrong over the jump, it's cattywampus and in the wrong direction. looks a little bit sheepish right now, but he does the wise thing. He doesn't rejoin unsafely. That's what you do like to see.
Yeah, he's waiting for an opening because he's at the landing of the jump. You cannot back up in front of people because there's literally nothing they could do to avoid you if you back in front of them. But that sends him to the back of the field. That was him just going a little bit too wide, dipped a wheel off of the ramp of the jump, and that's what sent him sideways.
And I think for Jukka Pakala, coming on the side of that, maybe he's lost a little bit of ground because he's now 10 and almost 11 seconds off of these two. Still yet to have jokered. Zach Blanche, I do believe, has taken his joker, by the way, so even though he's within the 8-second cutoff that we've been talking about, it's not necessarily going to be a jump for him on this final lap of the race. 1 more mile left to go in heat number 2, and I think because we're only eliminating one driver in the LCQs, Joe, we've only got one LCQ after this as well.
Exactly. It's one and done on that one, so you really don't want to be caught out on that. This is going to be close-ish on Pakala. He just takes it now. And it looks like he is going to at least be able to come out in third.
He pips his teammate in the no control colors, Santeri Heiskanen, but ultimately it was probably going to be only 2 of those team stable cars that were going to advance since McFarlane's looked untouchable at the front. It's now status back quo to how they came into the night for McFarlane and Fox in terms of points. He wins the second race of the evening in the RX1 category. Palaneva and Pakala to advance as well. But it is the one LCQ that I think is going to be treated with the skepticism from plenty of the drivers, because 7 are going to enter, only 1 will leave. And that, I don't think, is a situation that any of the drivers want to find themselves in. Let's go down to the race results then, as we get ready to go into the LCQ. It's McFarlane that wins by more than a full second, it turns out, at the end, with Palaneva, Pakala, Heiskanen, and then Blanche and Mikolajczyk through the rest of the 6 cars that took to the starting formation. And we can take a look at how they'll line up for the one and only of our LCQs, where Sean Winkler and Santeri Heiskanen will be at the front, Robbie Kirtley and Zach Blanche behind them, Russell Peterson, Paul Mikolajczyk, and then Sammy Mata and Kieran Leiflander apparently is going to be joining us as well. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Joe, we didn't see him in the heats.
We did not. He was not there, so maybe he connected late, but early enough that they'll allow him to race, having missed that one. That means 2 will get eliminated.
Well, and that also means Leiflander's in a fight with Edmondson in points. There is now a bit more between them to keep an eye on. So, Winkler and Heiskanen on the front row, and instantly a bit of a crossover to try and cut things off from Heiskanen. As behind, there's a bit of chaos already. 3 cars come together. 1 Fiesta goes sideways. Now a Subaru's gone off onto the left-hand side. It's up and over the jump. Heiskanen leads, currently second, and I think Sammy Mata's in third, and there's more chaos behind.
Blanche almost goes rolling over. It rights itself, but he and Winkler are way back. They are looking our 2 most likely at this stage, but as we've seen, you can't count on anything.
And so Robbie Kirtley stays on the track. Santeri Heiskanen's taken to the joker. Kieran Leiflander is the one that joins him a bit wide there as they exit out of the donk slide, and it's going to be side by side as they cycle back onto the tarmac. That was a long move around the outside for Sammy Mata, but he's made it stick.
And he's had to come from way far back in this field, started from 7th in this one, so great job on him for just surviving what was honestly quite chaotic there at the start.
That was wild and indicative, I think, more of a Sonoma-style start, all things considered. The bowling alley where things funnel on down. On board with Russell Peterson, we jump as he's now behind Paul Mikolajczyk. Now, don't count them totally out of contention, I would say. They are not far off the back of Robbie Kirtley for what could be a 3-way fight for the final 2 spots to be eliminated as a couple of the drivers take to the joker.
I think Sammy Mata is amongst those. Oh no, Leiflander just hit the wall actually on the inside after the long left-hand big bend of turn 6. So that was a bit strange. I think he clipped the grass on the exit, and that shot him off to the inside.
Yeah, you can see the damage to the front left, and it seems to maybe be playing out in the steering as well. Yeah, you can see left hand down for him, and that's going to be uncomfortable given how many long right-handers there are around this lap. A little bit of extra steering lock will be needed. He's already taken to the joker, so every lap he's probably going to be on the handbrake to rotate. You can see rear wheels locked up to rotate the car around the donk slide. Well, that's going to be painful. He's just got to stay out of trouble. There's Sean Winkler. He will be hoping to stay out of trouble as well. He's on the back of Zach Blanche. Now, has Russell Peterson seriously still not jokered?
No, I don't believe he has. He's at the back of the field.
So, all of this chaos in front of him, he's in a great position to take advantage and slide his way on forward, because 8 seconds would see him potentially in front of Kieran Leiflander for 4th.
I think you're right, yeah. Well, I'm showing him about 5 seconds back right now, so I think he might slide in between 5th and 6th, so it is going to be close. Russell's actually gonna have to do a lot here to try and make sure that he isn't one of those 2 eliminated.
I think Russell's in a great spot, although you're right, he is starting to bleed a little bit more time as these drivers stop their fighting as aggressively. Winkler not really close enough to force the issue. Front of the field, Heiskanen and Mata are going to come through the double rights at the end of the lap to bring the white flag out. The one and only LCQ ready to eliminate 2 drivers. It won't be these 2, split by 0.6 of a second. As Paul Mikolajczyk gets in front of Kieran Leiflander for 4th. This is what Russell Peterson is hoping to see.
Yeah, those drivers fighting is just music to his ears. And coming around here to the final lap, look at how close they are to one another, too.
And there is Peterson on the bottom of your screen, all by himself and staying out of trouble. 4 cars in a conga line. It's almost on a string right now as a couple of them hit the inside wall. Subaru's going to go now on the bottom of your screen directly onto the dirt on the right-hand side and comes out in front of all of them. It's exactly what Peterson was hoping to do in taking that Joker on the final lap. But as he works his way into a transfer spot, Santeri Heiskanen wins LCQ one and only, along with Sami Mata directly behind as No Control work their way back into the main event. Unfortunately, it looks like Zach Blanche and Sean Winkler will be said goodbye to, although it was a bit of a drag race to the line. Unfortunately, no change in results for them.
Oh, Leiflander was close on that one, though. He wasn't so hot off that jump and just about threw it away at the very end. His only thing that saved him is Blanche landed poorly.
Look at those margins as well. So don't worry about those at the front. No Control 1, 2, and 3. It was carry the 1, add the 9, blah, 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 blah. What was it? Two and a bit tenths between Leiflander and Winkler, basically. Some of the reaction times at the start for these drivers. That is crazy. Sami Mata with the fastest lap as well. Shows that he's got the speed as he works his way back into the main event. Another 2-minute warm-up, and these drivers now get ready to go for the final time this season. And for the first time this season, we're guaranteed, Joe, a winner not named Jacob Rafos.
Yeah, so and everybody's going to be hungry on that one. So you should see quite a bit of fierce fighting. There are still positions in the championship to battle for, but more than that, drivers have egos. Every racing driver wants to be the winner. So you're going to see them knowing that this is their best shot to finally stand on the top step this season.
Are you telling me that's why I'm not a racing driver, because I don't want to win?
Well, I have to ask why you're racing. I mean, yes, I definitely, there are times where my goals are not necessarily to win, to just get the best finish possible, but ultimately, that's what you want to do. You want to take those victories.
See, it's interesting. I've been talking to some people that race in BOP series in the real world, and they'll be quite honest in saying that if your car isn't BOP to win, you're thinking, all right, maybe all I have is a 10th place car. If I get 10th, that's a good result. If I get a 5th, then it feels like I've won. If I get a 15th, I've not done so well. And that applies in spec series in the real world as well, because spec does not always mean the same as much as people might imply. Go look at American open wheel racing and the amount of money you can spend on dampers, just as an example.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one consistent in all racing, is how fast you want to go depends on how much you want to spend, usually. And yes, if it's a spec, everybody is on the same machinery, but there's so much more you can do with the time and money to prepare the car.
So can I ask you to break out your checkbook so I can go racing, Joe?
You'd be disappointed with that checkbook, Frank.
That's why it goes a much further way here in the sim racing world. Let's run you down to the starting grid for the final time this season. 10 laps for these drivers, and, well, bragging rights and a win on the line. Parisi McFarlane on the front row, Fox and Palineva on row 2, with Josh Edmondson and Yuka Pakala behind them on the third row of the starting grid. Remember, we've got 12 machines ready to rumble. Santeri Heiskanen and Sami Mata, and then Robbie Kirtley, Russell Peterson, Paul Mikolajczyk making his debut this season, also sliding his way on forward into the main event, and then Kieran Leiflander, the 12 drivers getting ready to rumble. And I think there's a bit of tension in the air because, like we said, there is a win on the line. There's no Jacob Rafos. They all know there is something to strive for. They'll turn their attention to the lights. The engines build, the lights are ready to go, and we're ready to turn the page over in 2023 as RX1 will see a new winner to close the year out. Fox is already alongside Parisi as they're 3 wide into the opening corner, but it's McFarlane on the outside that momentarily had the lead. Connor Parisi in the Nitro Circus sim racing machine takes the point back.
But barely. He's still got McFarlane hot on his heels. And Josh Fox drops just a couple car lengths back from them, still side by side back there between Pakula and Palaneva. Eventually the teammates sort themselves out.
Look at some of this gaggles as, again, Joker off to the right, and oh, look at the train.
Wow.
Basically, almost everybody, barring Parisi and McFarlane, says, get me out of Dodge, and Josh Fox, chief among them. So here's the two, though, that most importantly decided not to Joker. Parisi and McFarlane left to their own devices.
Yeah, I was kind of watching it, and Lifelander, definitely one of those that saw that entire train in front of him head stage right and said, okay, well, time to do something different, because might as well with him coming from the back. Look at this still fight for the lead as we watch our drivers come down into turn 1. Oh, Heiskanen just went off screen there too.
It's a slight disappointment for him, and it also is going to potentially mean a opportunity for Parisi or McFarlane to Joker because of a car slightly closer to them. Overspeed for Parisi, he's back to the lead and now going to build the advantage as he runs into that penultimate corner as well. Fox in second, Edmondson in third, and McFarlane now knows that if he Jokers, he's going to be deposited directly into this mix. He's got 4.5 seconds of clean air in front of him with which to work.
Yeah, if he's smart, he's going to stay without the Joker until the very end, or at least close to the end, as long as he doesn't run into any traffic himself, which frankly doesn't look like it's going to be the case at this stage. But Parisi and Fox up there at the front, tight to one another. It's going to have to take some elbows out to get a pass done, I'm pretty sure.
I think I agree with you, and because there are so many drivers having already Jokered, they're all stacked up behind. They can't afford to be fighting too hard, and so Fox is A, struggling to close, but B, is going to be hesitant to go for moves that aren't really there. Another time, though, as they work their way back onto the tarmac there, Joe, he slides wide and onto the grass.
Not something you want to do. Yes, the grass won't be as detrimental in these cars with the tires that they have, but it still will give you a little bit less grip, which means you won't be able to launch off the corner, you won't be able to turn as well. So you still want to try and stay on the dirt as much as you can. I think we had a swap between Peterson and Kirtley a little farther down the field as we ride on board here watching the VR headset of Edmondson.
I still am not sure as to how many laps McFarlane's going to hold off Jokering. He doesn't hold off anymore. He Jokers and passes Edmondson. He doesn't get past Fox. He slides wide and into the grass. Edmondson has to avoid running into the back of him. But now with all contenders having Jokered, it's a straight dogfight with not even half of this race left. Finished, I should say. I want to just highlight all of the heat races, the LCQs, Joe, they were 5 laps in length. You could use your Jokers a lot more aggressively. Here in a 10-lap race, you can use it a little bit more conservatively. No one really deciding to do that.
Yeah, which is fascinating. And McFarlane, I went back to kind of watch what happened there. I think he saw the traffic to his left-hand side and decided to try and give them a little bit extra room to make sure that they didn't slam into one another. What that did is put him just enough offline that he dipped that tire off into the grass.
Oh, he's in the grass now, and the office chair is moving around on him as well. As there's a sim racer lean, and then there's the office chair moving. Both at play here right now as McFarlane works his way closer to the back of Fox. Remember, they were 9 points separated coming into the night as Heiskanen and Lifelander swap around behind for 8th and 9th positions. But I think McFarlane may not just have the raw speed on the long run to close to the former World Championship competitors in front of him. That's not a bad thing by any means, Joe. McFarlane's making a step up into RX1 for the first time, and he's made a very fine account for himself.
I'd say so, yeah. Like we heard the drivers before from RX2 mention, when you get to this level, it takes something else to be up towards the top, so they know it's going to be difficult to at least be in contention for wins or even take podiums. So for McFarlane to be as high in the points as he is and as quick as he is definitely a testament to his speed.
Look in front, though. Look at how Fox is working to try and put the pressure onto Parisi. And from up above, you can definitely see the front end of the Williams Esports Subaru is bashed on in. I don't think it's so present on the Nitro Circus sim racing machine, but Does go to show that even the best Joe are running interesting lines through that dong slide section as half a car length between the two as they yoink on the handbrake once more.
Just can't seem to get inside of him there, and that's going to drift him a little bit wide, almost brushed up against the wall. Look at how tight they are staying to that left-hand side as they come now onto the backstretch. He's got to focus on these corner exits so that he can get a good enough launch to get side by side.
Look at the different amounts of rotation being used as they're on the tarmac, or rather on the gravel, returning to the tarmac. 3/10 between them, McFarlane losing a bit more ground and increasingly seeing Edmondson begin to close that margin in the dying stages of this race. We've got 3 laps with which to work, 3 more opportunities for Fox to try and get his way on through. It's not going to happen in the dong slide, you know that. We've seen passes there today, but not necessarily between cars that are pretty equal. There's a mistake from McFarlane, and Edmondson slides it up the inside though, and the fight for the final step on the podium goes the way of the Nitro Circus sim racing machine.
McFarlane's got to be kicking himself for that, and on top of it, they've got all those cars behind, Pakula, Palaneva, both kind of sitting, licking their chops, knowing if they start battling one another, that gives them a chance to fight for the podium.
Up and over the jump. 2 more laps now to go this time by as they once again work their way on forward. We can take a look at both Edmondson and McFarlane, 2 very different setups at play here. One a lot more basic in terms of hardware, and then Edmondson with everything tricked out and the top of the edge virtual reality system, but both very similar sorts of pace. Edmondson reaches over the handbrake, hands over the wheel, he tries to work his way on through. I think McFarlane's just hit the wall.
Again, yeah, he clipped the inside, and now that's lost him a spot to Pakula, who easily slipped through.
How is that car still going? Subaru/Vermont Motorsports make a very, very tough machine, apparently.
Yeah, they really do. But it was just a graze, so I think he was able to get away with it. But now it's towards the end of this race, so he's got to clean things up and get back on it.
He'll be settling for a top 5 at the end. Fox will grab second in points. Who grabs the victory to end the season? Parisi and Fox into the dong slide one more time. Fox just that little bit too far behind, and he's going to have to really try and have a desperate lunge in the penultimate corner to try and get something done.
He's really pushing the throttle here. It almost looked like a good run briefly, but somehow Parisi gathered it up in time. As long as he's clean on the landing, I think he'll be okay.
It's been a close fight between these two. Fox gets very close in an attempt to try and rumble towards the line, but in a season dominated by Jacob Rafos, Conor Parisi breaks the streak. He wins at the Atlanta Motor Speedway to close off 2023's RX1 history books. Josh Fox directly behind Josh Edmondson rounding out the podium. It's been a fun RX1 season between all of these drivers. They'll enjoy some time away, and they'll be back in 2024 to do it all again.
And I'll tell you what, McFarlane getting himself back into 4th did an amazing job there. He and Pakula had a right battle to decide that one, just nudging each other, leaning on one another to decide it as we celebrate on the backstretch.
This is wonderful to see because, of course, championship already decided coming into this one. It's drivers now just saying we've had a fun year, we've enjoyed the racing with one another, and even if we've bashed with one another on the run to the line, we can still celebrate what a year it's been. And some fun racing, Joe, epitomizing what Rallycross is all about.
Absolutely. This is essentially what the drivers come here for, is for the excitement, for the wheel-to-wheel that they can do, and for the good respect shown, too. You could see that all season long, that the drivers really wanted to make sure that everybody was here for a good time, for the competition, but fair competition.
So we'll grab a look at the race results. We'll dive down to the victory lane to talk with our winner, and then hopefully talk to some of the drivers as well about the season that was. But 4/10 between them at the end. You can split Parisi and Fox for the majority of the race, and the 11 and the 12 very much locked horns and put on a display, albeit not necessarily as aggressive as maybe some would have wanted. Fox doesn't force the issue and settles behind. Edmondson grabs the final step on the podium to close out the season, while McFarlane, Palaneva, Pakula, Mata, Heiskanen, Peterson, and Mikko Lyjuk make up the rest of your top 10. And crucially, all on the leading lap. As can be said for Kieran Leiflander, it was just Robbie Kirtley that unfortunately got involved in some issues and finds himself 1 lap down on the tally at the end. Let's go down, though, to victory lane, where we can speak to Conor Parisi, who's standing by with Joe Peak.
Indeed, and Connor, you had all that pressure all race long. Josh was not able to get by. What do you credit that to? Are you good at defense? Is this just a hard track to pass? What was it?
I think a little bit of both. This track is hard to pass, but you can make moves, especially in the donk slide. I just got to give a lot of credit to Mr. Fox, driving clean like he always does. He could have moved me a couple times, but we were able to keep it clean this time.
We were musing that with the feature race, you have the ability to go more conservative on the Joker lap here, but pretty much nobody did that. Why do you think that is?
So the delta is so big here, sometimes you can kind of get lost in the relative of knowing exactly where everyone is. So once I saw the fast guys behind me take it, I knew I had to get it out of the way so I could stay ahead of them so they couldn't get any fast laps and jump me up the delta.
Interesting. One kind of dictates the other here today on that one. This is such a unique circuit. Were you happy that we ended it here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the way that the drivers have, or the way that the organizers have elected to use perhaps one of the most unique circuits on iRacing for the finisher?
Very happy. This is the best rallycross track, followed by Sonoma and then Brands Hatch, in my opinion. So very excited to use this one as the finale.
Well, again, congratulations. You have now become the second driver to win this season, sir.
Thank you. Get a shout out to J Bob, couldn't make it today, but Nitro Circus Sim Racing was able to sweep the season, so successful year. Connor
Parisi, your victor in the feature here today. I believe Arjuna is with Josh Fox.
Indeed, Josh pushed sometimes a bit too much onto the grass on the return back onto the tarmac. But Josh, a close fight all the way to the end with Connor Parisi, just not able to get it done. Talk us through that one from your perspective.
Yeah, just really trying to keep it what Racecraft TV's Rallycross is all about, and just having fun and really not, trying to create a stink show or anything, and yeah, just have a good whole race battle. That was like a 15 lap battle for Connor and I, which is pretty rare, to be able to have, so appreciate the opportunity. And he ran a real good race there, real solid, and yeah, he didn't make any mistakes, so I was not able to really make a big move to get by, but a really good race.
And I guess from both perspectives, race how you want to be raced, and we saw that on display. It's been an interesting 2023 for you, Josh, in those Williams Esports colors. I'm sure you're looking forward to some time off of the sim, but what's in store for you moving forward into 2024?
Yeah, trying to get into some more competitions and even some WRC sports rally type competitions and special events, and next year's Pro Truck World Championship, of course. So got a lot coming up, and for sure want to hang around the rallycross scene too. It's unfortunate that the season's over already. It's kind of a shorter one compared to the rest, so definitely looking forward to the next time this thing fires up, and yeah, anytime to get in the rallycross car is a good time.
I agree with that one, especially here at Atlanta. Do you agree with Connor? Best rallycross track on iRacing?
Yeah, it's like my 1 or 1A favorite, I'd say, definitely.
I'm in good company with my pick then as well. Congratulations, Josh, on a great season. Second in points, and we'll see you in 2024.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Josh Fox, second in points, second on the day. We can make our way over to series organizer Josh Edmondson, who grabbed the final step of the podium. Josh, let's start with talking about the race. Seemed like quite a fun one, and this is one of those tracks where you can really battle quite hard. Had a bit of a battle for the third podium spot, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Evan surprised me there when he jokered. I didn't quite track that. I knew Josh and Connor would likely get me through the Joker if they didn't battle too much, but yeah, he kind of scared me popping out there. But that was a clean merge. It was a little sketchy because I went into the grass, and I've died there before, so it was a little sketchy. But Atlanta's my favorite track for rallycross anyway. That's the most fun I have is always racing at that track, and it produced it again today in the heat race and the feature.
I've said it's the best track through the broadcast. All three of the RX1
Yeah.
interviewees that have agreed with me. I'm glad that I'm
Yep.
right about something. But let's talk about last weekend, Josh, because Rallycross Virtual here, you guys got to introduce the virtual Rallycross world to people in the real world. Talk to us about that experience with Nitro Cross.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, getting to go out to Nitro Cross and set up some sim rigs with the help from NLR, Next Level Racing. You know, they came through, and Moza actually helped a little bit too. But we and iRacing, obviously, we introduced a lot of people throughout the 2 days at Nitro Cross to iRacing, and we did some Rallycross, we did some off-road. There was a lot of positive takeaways from it, and looking forward to do the next one. We're going to go to Vegas and do it again for the finale, so looking forward to that.
Hopefully you'll figure out a way to try and keep those PCs a little bit mud-free, but good luck to you on that one.
Yeah, Von Helen the wind was crazy.
Oh, I was watching, I saw. Let's talk 2024 then, because we've got more stuff coming up in the future for Racecraft, Road to the Summit. What else do drivers have to look forward to? Give us a bit of the spiel about what you've got in store for them.
Yes, so Race to the Summit is going to be huge. Obviously, Next Level Racing stepped up on that with the time attack qualifying that's going on right now. So anybody can try and qualify through that time attack. Top 20 will go to the broadcasted event. It'll be on RaceSpot here on January 21st, I believe. And then there's also prizes for that event, but there's also a prize for a rig to be won if you just complete a lap. You're entered. Anybody that enters it could win that rig too. So lots of cool prizes from NLR, and then we're going to be working on another Rallycross season soon. We're going to get it in before the Off-Road World Championship, so there's not as big a break as there was before. So hopefully I can have some more news on that soon, but I'm definitely looking forward to another Rallycross season.
And that's all the organizing side of things. Talk to us about the driving. What are you doing behind the wheel in the next couple of months?
Well, we've actually been doing this WRC thing through Racecraft as well. So if you're into that WRC game, you can join us on there. We have a pretty fun, it's our first season on that, and we're taking it real light, just having some fun with it. We might do more of that. So I'm going to try doing that. It doesn't have VR support yet. So if with me being in my Pimax, I'm struggling when I'm racing on screen, but I'm having fun with it. I'm looking forward to when they get VR, but other than that, it's going to be getting back into the off-road trucks, getting ready for some new Racecraft off-road seasons coming up, and staying busy in the rally cars as well.
Racing driver excuses. We always hear them. Thanks for putting this all on, Josh. You do so much to make this happen. We're glad just to be a part of it. And congratulations on third. We'll see you in 2024 for was it Road to the Summit? Race to the Summit?
Race to the Summit.
Let's get it right. Race to the Summit. There we go. See you in 2024.
Awesome. Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Josh Edmondson wraps up our post-race coverage, and indeed our post-season coverage show, because just like that, 2 months in the books, 6 weeks of actions, 2 champions crowned, and now we can look forward to a couple of weeks away to do it all again in 2024.
Exactly, and I can't wait for it, and can't thank you guys enough for bringing me on to cover this. It was an absolute blast. All the off-road stuff here, especially the roadside, is some of my favorite on iRacing, and the racing that we saw exemplified that.
And I think what we saw at the end here today, especially, right, Parisi and Fox. Fox said it, right? That's what Rallycross racing is meant to be about. And at one of the best tracks, and I've said it all along, I'm just gonna say it because I'm quite happy with myself. But what a schedule they managed to put together, and hopefully next season we get a few more. There's some interesting tracks out there as well. I don't know if I'd want to add Knock Hill to the list, but some might want to knock people on their brains after that round. And there's some other intriguing ones, and there's always so much more as well that comes in the world of dirt racing. Josh and I think Josh both mentioned some of the short course stuff as well, Joe, which is going on now going into 2024. Dirt road's in a really, really cool place if you want to jump into it.
It is. Definitely encourage anybody who is watching on iRacing, or if you don't have one and this just looks fun, definitely hop on iRacing and give it a try, because that's the beauty of sim racing, is you don't need to do huge amounts to get involved. You can just think it looks fun and decide to go for it.
And iRacing.com/holiday sale. We'll get the plug in. There's never been a better time potentially to jump into things. And iRacing special events are just around the corner as well. Diversity in motorsport. If you want to try everything that motorsports have to offer, iRacing is the place for you. For the team behind the scenes at RaceSpot and Racecraft, thank you so much for joining us. We've had a team of commentators and producers behind the scenes, but Joe Peak and myself, our Junior Kanki Party, signed things off from the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where Jacob Frost missing in action, but our RX1 champion champion, joined by Matthew Lindy, the RX2 champion, in closing 2023 on a high. But everyone looks forward to returning in 2024 for more great Rallycross action. We'll see you for all of that. For now, so long and goodbye, and happy holidays to you and yours.